is just an amended charge to take it away from a driving related offense. And so basically I ask you to the charge of disorderly conduct, how do you want to plead to that offense?
Guilty, Your Honor.
And are you pleading guilty by your own choice?
Absolutely, yes.
And technically speaking, at the time you got this ticket, you were driving when your license was not 100% valid, and there really was nothing disorderly about anything except you were driving when you weren't supposed to. Fair enough?
Correct. Right. I had
So
an emergency.
from a technical standpoint, whether it was an emergency or whatever, when the officer asked for your verification and everything else, you weren't able to produce that you had a valid license at that moment, correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay, and Mr. Mason, by pleading to the disorderly conduct, it's just to take away disturbing the peace. Disorderly conduct is just to take it away from any traffic-related matter. Is that correct?
Yeah, it won't abstract on his license, so he doesn't have
Yep.
to wait to get it.
Right. They're calling it disturbing the peace, disorderly conduct. I think it's one and the same.
Yeah.
But here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to assess a penalty fine-wise. There's not going to be jail or probation. If there's anything final that you want to say, Mr. Mason, now's the time.
No, I just think that he'd like the fines is fair. He can pay that and move on. At the time this happened, he was taking care of his terminally ill father who has since passed. And I think he was just running up to get some essentials and just the cops saw him,
Okay.
etc. So.
Did anyone else live there, Mr. Brocato?
At the house, it was just me and my father. Yes, he
Okay.
had bladder cancer and I was taking care of him.
Okay. So what's the status now of your driving privileges?
I'm available to apply for my license, and me and Mr. Mason, when this is over, are going to get together and work on that.
Yeah.
So when you talk about it like that, available to apply, you know that you can't drive until you get the final word that you're valid and have a valid license.
Absolutely. I take Uber everywhere I go. That was just a one-time deal with my dad. I had
Okay.
to go get
All
something.
right. All right. Okay. Well, then what caused your license to be suspended in the first place? How'd you lose it? Was it
In
tickets? Was it
2009.
alcohol offense?
Yeah, in 2009. Yes, long time
Okay.
ago.
Well, 11 years ago.
Right. I've
And
been in
then-
no trouble since.
Okay, so then this is, it's usually more, which it still probably seems like a lot. It's usually more than this, but my penalty now is $200. There's a $75 crime victims' right fee, so it's a total of $275.
Okay.
There's no probation, there's no jail, you don't report, you don't come back,
Okay.
hopefully at all, and
No.
you just get yourself straightened around. The
Thank
reason I
you.
was asking, the reason I was asking about your driving privileges is you don't want to get into a scenario where you chance it or risk it to drive before you have the valid license, okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, that's it then. We're all set on your case. Thanks for your courtesy, Mr. Brocato, and thanks for zooming in today with Mr. Mason. Mr. Mason, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. I appreciate it.
We'll be in
Uh-huh.
touch with you. Thanks.
Okay, uh-huh. Mr. Gonsalves, have you heard me? You can hear me, but I can't hear you. So you got to unmute yourself or push the button that says join audio. We can see you. Now I can. I
Okay.
did for a second. Yep, I hear you. That's good. We saw you a few minutes ago trying to connect, and then you were out, then you were in, then you were out. So I know you put some effort into this, and I really appreciate it.
I'm sorry. I'm new at all this.
No, you don't have to be sorry. I'm just telling you honestly, I appreciate the effort you put into it. The ticket we're talking about
Thank
with you, Mr. Gonsalves, am I saying it okay? Gonsalves?
Yes, ma'am. It's Gonzalez.
Okay, the ticket we're talking about is a year ago this week, October 17, 2019, a year ago, Cherry Valley and
Correct.
100th Street. You got defaulted on an accident ticket for failing to stop within assured clear distance and no proof of insurance. But the only thing left with me is the ticket that's the unregistered vehicle. They're talking about this 2004 GMC that you had at the time of the accident,
Correct.
and that the vehicle was not properly registered, meaning
Correct.
the license plate on it was not properly registered, or there was not a plate on it. I'm not sure which.
Correct.
Okay.
It wasn't registered in my name. I just purchased it within
Okay.
the last couple of months at that time.
All right. When you got the ticket, like, were you physically hurt in the accident?
No, man, I was not, ma'am.
You didn't have to go to the hospital or ride in an ambulance, nothing like that?
No.
Were there other people in your car?
No, it was just me in the vehicle. I worked third shift in Grand Rapids
Uh-huh.
at Plastic, and I was on my way home, and I don't know if I fell asleep or what happened, honestly.
So you went
to
off
be
the
honest.
road. Did you hit anybody else? Did you hit a tree? Did you take out mailboxes? What happened?
I hit a vehicle that was in front of me. They were pulling a utility trailer,
Uh-huh.
and my front tire hit that trailer. I don't think
Have you
they
ever
drove.
found out? Have you ever found out a year ago? This was a year ago this week. Have you ever found out whether your insurance company got contacted, whether you had to pay for any of the damage to their car, to their trailer, to anything?
I have not been contacted about nothing.
Okay. When you were there at the scene, even though it was, early in the morning or whatever, do you physically talk to the police that day?
I talked to the officer for just a brief couple. He come up and asked what happened. I explained to him that I was on my way home and that
Right.
I didn't recall the person in front of me at the time.
Well, of course you didn't try to hit him. You didn't try to hit him, but you did hit him.
Correct. But there was a
Right.
vehicle actually between us. And
Okay.
when I looked up again, and when I looked down and I looked back up or whatever, the vehicle was gone, and I swerved. They had actually swerved to miss the truck that was in front of them. That was
Yeah.
pulling the trailer.
Right.
And I didn't have the time to get out of the way like they did.
Here's my
So-
question, Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes.
My reason for asking about if you talked to the police on that day, the day of the incident, a year ago, October, is I just
did.
want to know if you physically got the ticket or if you
Yeah.
never were handed the ticket.
No, I was handed a ticket.
So if we fast forward to today, October 14, 3 years short of 1 year ago that this happened, why are we talking right now?
Because of the pandemic and everything. And when all this was just before the pandemic and everything all started, and I was an essential worker the whole time. And
Yeah, but Mr. Gonzalez, your ticket was October 17 of 2019. We didn't even know what the pandemic was by then.
I got
And then
this.
you were ordered to be in court November 1. Last year I'm talking about. It would have been like 2 weeks after your ticket.
Correct.
Never showed up, never
I
came
didn't
in.
get a court date on it. And well,
So was
I've
Balsam
never been
in Hastings? Was Balsam in Hastings where you lived?
That is where I live.
Is it where you live now?
Correct.
Okay, say that I believe you, which I do. I mean, if you're saying you never got any notice about being in court, I'm saying you had the ticket the cop gave you. Whether you lost it, put it in a pile, I don't know. But that very ticket told you what day to be at our court. Did you ever call?
Yeah, I want to say I called up there and everything, and I don't know how I missed the date or what. I don't know how.
I get that COVID has been hell on everybody. But realistically, COVID isn't to blame for this ticket.
No, not this
It's
long.
really not. You let this go. And now you got defaulted on 2 of them, the basic speed, failing to stop within assured clear distance by losing control in the first place, not being able to avoid the car in front of you. That's $252, which is a lot of money. You got defaulted on the no proof of insurance, which is $282. And then the ticket that we're talking about is an unregistered vehicle. You can plead guilty or not guilty. If you plead guilty, I just tell you what the penalty is. If you plead not guilty, you have a right to have a trial. The prosecutor has to present evidence that your truck, vehicle, GMC, whatever it is, automobile, was not registered at that moment in time.
Correct, in which I'm guilty of.
And so you're just saying guilty.
I am.
All right. Has anybody forced or threatened you in any way to plead to this?
No.
Do you recognize that by going forward today, There's never going to be a trial on this. You're not going to have an attorney. Do you get that?
Am I looking at jail time?
No, no, no.
Okay,
No,
yes.
but I go over the same rules with everybody. I mean, it is a criminal offense, but no, I'm not giving you jail on this. But,
Okay.
and you can make your own decision as you have, and you're just telling me the truth, which I appreciate. But part of what I was trying to say was, you let this go for a year when it really shouldn't have. It would never have cost you this much money if you would have dealt with it right away. I'm just saying. And you didn't need anything in the mail from us, even though Balsam is the only address we've ever had. So what's
I was
happening with that
given
car
this
now? Did it get totaled?
in July.
Tell me again?
This court date's been set up since July, I think,
Okay.
somewhere around there.
Okay.
That-
All right. Yep.
So, I mean,
All right. I appreciate
I've
that.
waited that
Did
long
the car
because-
get totaled?
Yes, my truck did.
And that was that truck that you just had recently purchased, right?
At that time, correct.
What a bummer is that?
I know.
And then no insurance on it to cover it? I'm surprised that the other side hasn't pursued you. Because any damage to their trailer, any damage to their car, you'd have to pay for. All right, well, this ticket is $260. No jail, no probation. Add it to the 2 tickets that you already have. Your total is just short of $800. It's $794. I'm not trying to be funny, Mr. Gonzalez. You gotta pay it. You gotta start with a plan.
Ma'am, I got a $400 bond too, don't I? Or
Whatever your bond was that you posted, if we still have it, yes, it goes towards it. Apply the bond.
all right,
Then
there was a
talk to them.
$400 bond in Hastings in July.
Was it only on this case?
I thought it was just his.
I mean, you're in
Ma'am,
jail in Hastings. You were in jail in Hastings for this?
I got pulled
Yeah.
over in Hastings,
Yeah.
and they told
Yeah,
me
they
my
do
license was suspended
Yep.
because
So
of
that
this.
400, yep, that 400 will be applied towards this. Then
Okay.
set up a payment plan, Mr. Gonzalez, and do it sooner than later. The court will be in contact you at Balsam. Look for the mail.
Okay.
Okay, that's it then. Thanks a lot. Thanks for
Thank you,
hooking
ma'am.
up. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Mr. Zambon, I see that you're there.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. I'm here with Joe Williams.
Sure. And we did get the paperwork that you sent in, and when duplicate with the assessment, I appreciate your thoroughness. And Mr. Williams, if you're going forward today, it's not the high BAC, it's the lower charge that's the OWI. Operating while intoxicated, sometimes you hear people say DUI or OWI or OUIL. It's a misdemeanor criminal offense, up to 93 days in jail, up to $500 fine, 6 points on your license if you pled guilty or were convicted. The charge itself, they call operating while intoxicated. As a misdemeanor, you can plead guilty or not guilty. You can have a trial in front of a judge or a jury. You can have an attorney represent you. Mr. Zambon is here, certainly more than capable of representing you. If you make your own decision about how to go forward, it has to be your decision, Mr. Williams. Even though Mr. Zambon gives you advice and counsel, maybe your friends or family have given you advice and counsel as well, but you ultimately are the only one can make a decision. Are you guilty or are you not guilty? And that's what we're talking about with this case. Operating while intoxicated allows you to bring in witnesses at a trial, cross-examine witnesses, take the stand yourself, be a witness if you wanted to. If you chose not to, your silence cannot be held against you. You have the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, Mr. Williams, can you think of anything that you have as a question?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
I get that the case we're talking about is all the way back to July this summer. And I get that you've made, from what I gather with the information Mr. Zambon has given me, you've made a great deal of progress in a very positive way, where you and your family and your attorney and Well, really, me too. I'm proud that you've done so well, and that's huge. And it has to continue as well. But the decision that you make today is like going back in time to July 15, when you were in the parking lot of that Meyer lot up at 17 Mile Road, the Cedar Springs Meyer. Any questions for me?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
If there was something you didn't agree with, you have the right to appeal 3 weeks after being sentenced. And we're going to go forward today with the plea and the sentence. So if there's something you didn't agree with, you'd have 3 weeks to appeal to the higher court, that circuit court. So I'll go back to July 15. I don't know a lot about it, except I did read that it was in the parking lot of that Meyer store, and it had to do with that light pole. How do you want to plead to the lower charge called operating while intoxicated, first offense? Mr. Williams?
Guilty, Your Honor.
Do you feel like anyone's forced or threatened you in any way to plead to this?
No, Your Honor.
Do you remember the incident or bits and pieces of it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that pickup truck that was involved on that incident some truck that you knew? Is that a truck you're familiar with?
That was my vehicle, Your Honor.
So it was your vehicle. Was anybody with you?
No, Your Honor.
Were you in the area of that Cedar Springs Meyer on that date in Solon Township?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you remember having an incident where your vehicle struck the light pole?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did it cause damage to your vehicle?
Minor damage, yes, Your Honor.
Did it cause damage to the light pole?
No, not that I'm aware of.
It didn't go over.
No, Your Honor.
How did the police get involved, Mr. Williams?
I was in my vehicle and someone had concern for me based on the way I was sitting in my vehicle and called emergency services, and then emergency services approached my vehicle, Your Honor.
How did they know you hit the light pole?
I believe, if I remember correctly, Your Honor, they saw it from the auto zone or the auto parts dealership near the Meyer.
Like in person they saw it, or a video they saw it?
To my knowledge, Your Honor, in person.
Okay. We get a lot of people that are just bystanders, if you will, and they call in when they see something. Sometimes it is to seek out a wellness check. If somebody's slumped over in their vehicle and they don't know what's going on, if the guy's had a heart attack or if he's intoxicated. If there's an accident and they see a car hit another car, a pole, a bike, a mailbox, a lot of times a bystander will call in. Sometimes we like to refer to them as a good Samaritan because a lot of people wouldn't even take the time to do it. And other times when people do call in, I don't know whether you would have left Myers that night or if you would have stayed there the whole night. It's hard to say. But there's an argument that can be made that it's good the police caught up with you where you were at that Meyer lot to prevent something worse from happening later. Do you get what I'm saying, Mr. Williams?
I agree with that 100%, Your Honor.
I can't remember at the time whether you took a breathalyzer test or whether you had blood drawn from your body.
Blood drawn, Your Honor.
And you found out later what the test results were of how much alcohol was in your system?
Yes, Your Honor.
Where had you been when you were drinking alcohol that day?
I had been at a golf outing and then went to a friend's home and then we went to a restaurant.
Is it one of those golf outings where the alcohol cart kind of drives around and you can have a beer here and there when you want?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah. Okay, I hate to do this, but I'm waiting for this phone call from two attorneys and they've been trying all day and they're telling me it's just right now. So we'll finish this, but let me ask you this, Mr. Zambon. Do you believe the court has complied with the court rule in terms of the taking of the plea to the OWI with Mr. Williams' statements of the point? Oh, I didn't hear what the amount was. I saw it was .269.
We agree with that.
Oh, you would agree with it? And Mr. Williams, you know the amount was well over the legal limit.
I do, Your Honor.
Okay, just give me 5 minutes. I'm only going to take that, if not less. So we'll be right back with you. We're just going to mute you a minute so I can make this phone call real quick.